All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. I want you to imagine for a second a little stick man navigating this incredibly diverse, intricate garden of relationships. Now, in this garden, true love is basically like a magnificent oak tree, right? It takes time, it needs deep roots, and honestly, it requires infinite patience to grow. But sometimes, well, sometimes we wander into a patch of weeds that shoot up overnight, and they kind of mimic that growth. So today, we're decoding our source material to look at the 6 signs you were never in love. We're going to explore how infatuation often forces this super quick, unsustainable bloom that we just mistakenly call love. Our source material hits us with a really powerful truth right out of the gate here. It says love demands that we constantly improve, be more understanding, and practice patience. I mean, have you ever felt this sudden, fiery spark and totally convinced yourself it was a real deal, only to watch it just burn out as fast as it started? It is so incredibly easy to confuse that intense, rushed feeling for the enduring reality of true love. But real love? It's a practice. It's an active commitment, not just some spontaneous, uncontrolled reaction. So, understanding the difference really starts with recognizing how a doomed relationship actually begins. We call this phase 1, the illusion of speed. And this brings us to our very first sign, moving things way too fast with your partner. You know that feeling where it's almost like you're on a roller coaster, moving just a little too fast for comfort, but you're too caught up in the thrill to pull the brake? Actually, scratch that. The source material gives a way better contrast. Infatuation absolutely thrives on speed, pure adrenaline. It's literally like aggressively forcing a flower open with your hands. I mean, sure, it looks open for a split second, but you fundamentally damage the petals. Love, on the exact opposite hand, takes time to genuinely develop. It absolutely requires that slow, steady nourishment to build a foundation that's going to last. Leaving that high-speed thrill ride behind, we enter phase 2, the perfection trap. Suddenly, our metaphorical stickman steps out of the bright, rosy sunlight and straight into the much harsher, totally unforgiving light of reality. And this brings us to sign number 2, expecting perfection. You expect them to be absolutely flawless, but when that illusion of perfection inevitably breaks, because let's be real, we are all wonderfully flawed humans, how do you react? If the underlying foundation is love, you're going to react with understanding. But if it was never love to begin with, the source notes that you get angry or just profoundly disappointed when they finally show you their true colors. You aren't mourning a deep connection, you're just mad that your shiny fantasy broke. As that fantasy completely shutters, we move into phase 3, the growing disconnect. The metaphorical watering stops, the sunlight gets blocked out, and you begin to see this really tangible withdrawal taking root. This is where sign number 3 becomes painfully obvious. That lack of comfort. You are simply not comfortable enough around them. You start holding back, right? You're withholding your emotions, hiding your daily struggles, just keeping your secrets totally to yourself. If you are shielding these crucial, vulnerable pieces of yourself from your partner, you haven't fully loved them. True love requires a safe harbor. And if you're keeping your walls up, you never really anchored there in the first place. Because, look, at the end of the day, 2 people in love will still want to be around each other frequently. That is a core truth. But sign number 4 of a relationship built on a mirage is growing distance. You become way more physically distant. You just stop seeking out their company altogether. You start preferring solitude, or honestly, the company of practically anyone else, over being in the exact same room as them. It's like that gravitational pull that usually defines love has just completely reversed itself. And this detachment, it doesn't happen overnight. It follows this sequential, kind of tragic timeline. Maybe in the first week of this phase, you just stop sharing those little secrets and your daily emotions. By month 1, you really notice the physical distance growing. Suddenly you're sitting on complete opposite ends of the couch. And by month 3, your mind wanders completely, and you find yourself just slipping away from the relationship entirely. That mental wandering is actually sign number 5, total mental absence. It's a step-by-step progression of just completely detaching. First, you start avoiding the tough conversations because, frankly, you just don't care enough to put the energy into resolving them. Then you find yourself slipping away from arguments. You literally aren't fighting for the survival of the relationship anymore. And finally, you stop emphasizing their importance in your life altogether. They basically become a background character in your own story rather than your co-star. Eventually, all of this leads to the inevitable. Phase 4, the anxious end. At this point, the illusion is 100% gone, which brings us to the 6th and final sign, relationship-induced anxiety. And I don't mean those nervous, exciting butterflies you get when you first meet someone. I mean a dark, heavy burden. As our source notes, you realize you have something massive that you need to get off your chest. The dread of figuring out how to actually break the news to your partner becomes completely all-consuming. Because you see, you aren't agonizing over losing your soulmate. You're simply dreading the logistics of the breakup, and maybe the guilt of ending something that, honestly, perhaps shouldn't have started in the first place. So, after walking through all of this, moving too fast, expecting perfection, the lack of comfort, the growing distance, mental absence, and that awful relationship-induced anxiety, I want to leave you with a direct, lingering question from our source material. Take a really hard look at your own romantic garden right now. Where do you think you